Book 11 of the Wheel of Time series, Knife of Dreams. This is the second one I'm doing today, so let's go ahead and dive right in. This book picks up with Galad, the other brother that the last book picked up with. We're jumping from Gawain to Galad. Now, I actually like Galad more than Gawain. It changed quite a bit throughout the series, but at this point, I decided I liked Galad more. If you can get behind and understand his ideology, he becomes much more likable. He views the world as incredibly black and white. There's no gray. You're either with the Dark One, you're a bad person, or you're not, and you're in the light. He's just that kind of ideology, and that's why he joined the White Cloaks. He saw their way of viewing the world, and it kind of lined up with his. He's not an idiot, though. He doesn't think they're right about Aes Sedai and that Aes Sedai are evil. He doesn't think that everyone who channels is bad, and he understands that the Dragon Reborn needs to exist. He's not a crazy person, but his morality is really central to who he is. This is how he views the world. So, when he finds out that Eamon Valda, the leader of the White Cloaks, killed his mother, or at least that's what he's told, he goes back to the White Cloak main fortress and challenges him to a fight under the light. Now, according to the White Cloaks, a fight under the light can only have whoever's just and correct in the light win the fight, because they're religious zealots. So this fight occurs because Galad thinks the Lord Captain Commander of the White Cloaks, Eamon Valda, killed his mother. During the fight, Eamon Valda brags about raping his mother, and so Galad, even though he's wrong about him killing his mother, he's absolutely justified in killing him, because I don't think anyone would fault him for that. Now, because of the White Cloak traditions, after Galad wins this fight, he is now the Lord Captain Commander of the White Cloaks and in charge of all of it. So he just went from a middle rank officer to in charge of the entire White Cloak army due to their traditions. And so now we have someone who is not hateful of Aes Sedai in charge of the White Cloaks, and whose main mission at what he decides to do is to recruit as many allies as possible for the White Cloaks for them to get ready for the last battle, because he does acknowledge it is coming and he knows that the world must be united. This is a huge shift for one of the biggest armies in the entire world. The White Cloaks are a big deal, and they are a massive force, and suddenly they're under the helm of someone who doesn't serve the shadow like Eamon Valda did, but actually believes in good and can lead them in a direction. So we have the best person possible pretty much leading the White Cloaks, because he's the only person they would really get behind in this situation. From here we cut to the Forsaken, other side of the coin. The Forsaken are talking about how they need to break as many seals in the Dark One's prisons as possible, as fast as possible. And they also really make it a high priority to kill Mat and Perrin. Again, I have a bit of an issue with this scene, because weren't those already really high priorities for you guys? Are you just... why is it, oh, now it's a big deal? Like, these people are horrible at their jobs. I imagine they just sit around and then they have these meetings and they're like, oh yeah, we should do that, bro. Like, it's important that we go and break these things. It's kind of annoying for me. But after that's done, we cut to Perrin. Now, Perrin is still in this kind of fever haze of just, I want to get my wife back and I will burn the world to get her back. And so he meets with a army of Seanchan, and he talks with them, and they agree to help him destroy the Shido. Now, while he's talking with these Seanchan, he learns of a prophecy of a wolf king who carries a hammer. A little bit on the nose there, but basically Perrin is a part of the Seanchan prophecy. They agree to help him destroy the Shido. They're going to use this root that makes it so that people who channel fall asleep, they get enough of it, and they pour it into the local water supply so that all the Seanchan channelers are knocked unconscious. And during this time, Tam, Rand's father, shows up with more Two Rivers men, so they now even have more archers. So now everyone is ready to go attack and crush the Shido. They do go and start the attack. And from here we cut to Fail, who is in the Shido camp while this attack happens. She is trying to get a oath rod for an Aes Sedai who's also captive in the Shido camp. She manages to get it and gets it to her. Turns out this Aes Sedai is actually a Black Sister, betrays her, and collapses a building down on top of her. Now, she's with Morghese when this happens, and she manages to coax Morghese into trying to channel again, and Morghese has a really hard time doing it because she can only do such a small amount. Morghese is finally able to do it and starts waving a flag awkwardly in the wind above the collapsed building. That way some Aiel know there's people down there, and of course it's the Aiel that's been pursuing Fail romantically that happens to be there and gets them out. They're now running through this battle trying to get away from it. Perrin runs into them. This Aiel is with Fail. This Aiel tries to kill Perrin, and of course Perrin immediately just kills him. This does hurt Fael because this guy was a friend to her, but it was a Shido Aiel, and he did attack Perrin, so Perrin was completely justified in killing him. As they're leaving the fight, the Shido have been crushed. The Shan-Chan do agree to go away. Most of the Prophet's army dies, but as they're going away, Aram, the pacifist that Perrin took under his wing, who wanted to learn to fight, then confronts Perrin and tries to kill him, saying that the Prophet told Aram what Perrin really is and that he's actually Shadow Spawn. Of course, Perrin's able to kill Aram, and it's kind of a sad moment, but it does cement that Perrin hates the Prophet with a burning passion for making him do this. I'm really proud of myself from getting through all those names. That was one heck of a tongue twister. Now, from here, we cut to Rand. Rand realizes just through some mental flashes and stuff that he's having that he's linked with Moradin. We as readers can infer that this happened when he crossed Balefire streams many books ago, and that actually created some weird link between him and Moradin, so now they're connected. Rand is mentally connected with one of the Forsaken, and the madman in his head, Lews Therin, that may or may not be real. Rand starts to talk with Logain about the situation in the Black Tower, how Taim has this inner circle, that he's a traitor. Logain makes a hell of a lot of accusations at this point, calling him a traitor. He says the people who are loyal to Rand are stretched so thin, there's no way they can combat them. Rand says, look, I get it. Why don't you go with a couple other people and try to open negotiations between me and the Shan-Chan, because I can't fight them and I need them on my side to fight the Shadow. So at this point, Loyal actually gets married, and Rand asks him to go off and seal all the Waygates that are a part of the Waygate system. Instead, one of the Elder Hammond from Loyal's species agrees to do it instead, so he goes off to seal all the Waygates. From here, we cut to Nynaeve, and Nynaeve is actually taking Lan and letting him go in the country of Saldea. They're saying goodbye to each other. Essentially, Lan is destined, part of his prophecy of being that lost king that he is, that he must go and fight the Blight, and he doesn't want people to go and die with him in some futile charge into the Blight, so he's trying to go by himself. Nynaeve puts him through a gateway, and quickly Lan realizes that he's technically in the Borderlands, but he's as far away from the Blight as he possibly could be, and Nynaeve closes the gateway behind him. She then goes ahead of him through a bunch of traveling and gets tons of his people to know what he's doing, so that this small army begins amassing and going to eventually follow Lan into the Blight. She doesn't want Lan to go on a suicide mission, so she's forcing him to take an army. This is actually one of my favorite moments from Nynaeve, and especially her relationship with Lan. It shows that, yes, she's doing what she technically did, but she's also not going to let you just go off and kill yourself for no reason. It's a great moment for Nynaeve. At this point, Logain has come back from the negotiations with the Shan-Chan, and he lets Rand know they're only willing to negotiate if you go in person and talk to them. So Rand agrees to this, and he actually goes to negotiate with what the Shan-Chan claim is the Daughter of the Nine Moons. But we know the Daughter of the Nine Moons, Tuon, is with Mat. So right in a way, we know something's wrong. He goes to negotiations, and immediately he's ambushed. It turns out it's Semirhage, one of the Forsaken. She attacks Rand, and unfortunately in the attack, Rand loses his right hand. It's completely severed. He was protecting Min in a way, and he got hit, and so now he has to relearn the sword and do all kinds of stuff to compensate with having his hand missing. So he does begin to interrogate this Forsaken Semirhage, and Semirhage unveils the fact that she knows Lews Therin's in Rand's head and that Rand is going insane. And she said even the greatest healers and the most powerful times of the One Power could not heal people who heard voices. It's kind of a mental attack on Rand, and it's pretty successful. So from here, we cut to Egwene, who is in the White Tower as captive. She's been made as a novice, so she went from Amerlin's seat of the rebels to being a novice in the White Tower. It's kind of a giant middle finger to the rebels, saying, look, your most powerful person has been put this low, and she's constantly made to do just demeaning tasks. And Egwene, though, quickly unveils herself to be a master of peaceful protesting. She's just able to constantly do little demonstrations showing her power, her knowledge, her patience, and wisdom, and how much better she is than even the Aes Sedai and Elaida. They try to make Accepted give her lessons, but she so often and confidently embarrasses the Accepted that they eventually have to give her private lessons with Aes Sedai. This is actually really important because this gives her openings to talk to very important, influential sisters and get more and more people on her side. And she's so good at just manipulation that she very quickly gets a lot of people inside the tower on her side. Now from here we cut to Elaine, and this is a pretty interesting series of events that happens with her. She's in war defending her city. There's other nobles trying to take it from her that want the throne, some of them with a lot of support. There's an ambush that happens that was orchestrated by the head of her bodyguard that we know is a Dark Friend. And in this attack, she's actually taken hostage by a bunch of Black Sisters and taken in a caravan out of the city. Brigitte, being linked to her, quickly realizes what's happening and sends a party after her to rescue her. She is successfully rescued. Some people die. It's an unfortunate kind of thing, but overall it ends up being a good thing, because now Elaine is outside of her own city while it's being sieged, and she has a skeletal force holding the walls, but she also has a large army outside the city, flanks the attacking army, is able to crush it. The nobles involved with that army surrender and put their support behind Elaine, and cements her as the Queen of Andor. I think this is super badass, and it is a great signifier of the change that's happened in Elaine, of how she's able to keep control of the situation, stay calm, and have pretty much the perfect outcome for what should have been a horrible situation. From here, we cut to Matt. So Matt is still with Tuon. They've been flirting back and forth, getting to know each other better. Matt is actually talking with a couple of the Illuminators, people who are involved with fireworks, and basically the way they're talking, the basic concept of cannons is come up with between them, because Matt's already been using fireworks in battle very effectively, and so now he's just been thinking about, what if we just hurl things through cannons at people. There's a night that happens where Matt is playing with the child he's adopted, Oliver, this game of snakes and foxes, and Tom keeps this letter he's been reading again and again and again. Oh yeah, Tom Maryland's been with Matt for a while now. And as he's reading this again and again and again, Matt finally asks him, what's in that letter that Moiraine gave you? So Tom hands it over, and in the letter it says, Tom, when Matt asks for this letter, give it to him so he can read it. I'm alive in the Tower of Genji. The Tower of Genji being the tower that you go to when you go through that door that Matt got his memories from, and she needs rescuing. And Matt needs to go do this. Matt really wants to go rescue her, but he can't do it right now. There's too much going on. So down the road, he knows he has to go rescue Moiraine, and the letter says to take Tom and one other. Quickly, Nolan volunteers to be that one other. So that's now on Matt's agenda down the road, to rescue Moiraine, who's actually been alive these last few books. The Band of the Red Hand, Matt's personal army, does reunite with the circus that he's been traveling with, and now Matt has his small army with him. Tuon is very impressed with how loyal his men are to him and how much affection they have for Matt, because Matt never loses and he's this great leader. So the Band of the Red Hen, kind of this rapscallion rat pack army, loves Matt, and Tuon really respects the level of loyalty she sees from his men, and realizes that his men having this level of loyalty speaks a lot about Matt as a person. We learn of a Shan-Chan army that's a traitorous group that's being headed up by other Shan-Chan nobles that want to kill the Daughter of the Nine Moons. They've learned that Matt has her, and they're pursuing Matt and the Daughter of the Nine Moons as a result. There's another group of Shan-Chan that Tuon trusts, that she actually says, look, I can get away with these guys, and you can stay behind and crush this army that's trying to oppose me. Matt agrees to this, but as she's leaving, Tuon says the words 3 times that makes her officially Matt's wife. So now suddenly Matt's married. He doesn't have much time to think about it, though, because he has to turn around and use his Band of the Red Hand, some new crossbows he's come up with, and early versions of cannons to turn around and crush this Shan-Chan army, which he does incredibly effectively, sustaining little to no losses during this time, even though the other army is so much bigger. This is just a moment foreshadowing, again, it's reaffirming Matt's level of genius when it comes to tactics, and how this is going to come to play in a few books. From here, we do the last kind of important thing in the book, and this is some Red Aja sisters that are at the Black Tower come to Taim and say, look, we want to start bonding men who can channel and have them linked to us. Taim actually agrees to this, but his words he actually uses are, let the Lord of Chaos rule. It's kind of out of place and weird, but we as the reader know this is signifying that Taim is not just a traitor to the Black Tower or Rand, he's serving the Shadow. And this guy who's been left alone in the Black Tower for months, just gaining power and gaining loyalty and manipulating people, is now has not only just the Black Tower underneath him, but also Aes Sedai, and it's questioning insane loyalty from those who are loyal to him, because they've been manipulated and forced into it. And the final thing we learn in this book is that bubbles of evil and all kinds of horrible events are happening all over the world much more commonly. And that is the end of the Knife of Dreams. Thank you very much. I'm hoping to do 2 more videos tomorrow as well. Sorry for inundating you guys. I just finally have some free time. Please like and subscribe if you've not already. I'm really looking forward to do the next 2 books, especially the next 3 books. And I hope you all have a great day. Peace.